Marines, Sword Beach.
I couldn't help noticing the sweet, sickly smell and the number of battle-dressed bodies surrounded by a pinkish tinge, gently floating on the tide line.
Captain Jim Roberts, Omaha.
There were bodies everywhere. As I went by, I heard people screaming for morphine. There wasn't a thing I could do.
Lieutenant John Pelly of the Royal Navy is aboard HMS Eglinton, watching the return of the landing craft from the first assault wave.
I'll never forget the chaos. A mixture of blood and fuel, with legs and heads sticking out. They came alongside. We hauled the wounded out and placed them on the deck in their awful suffering, doing what little we could.
Canadian Charlie Martin.
We had all joined up in 1940, had trained together, had lived together, and had just been together every day for the last 4 years. Friends who became brothers, only to lose more than half of us.
The BBC Home Service. D-Day has come. Under the command of General Eisenhower, Allied naval forces, supported by strong air forces, began landing Allied armies this morning on the northern coast of France.
By the end of D-Day, more than 180,000 Allied troops have secured a narrow beachhead in Normandy. In some places, they have advanced up to 5 miles inland. Although the airborne assault has been fraught with difficulty, most units have been joined by land troops. More than 2,500 Allied men, mostly Americans, have lost their lives. Many more German defenders are dead. Thousands of French civilians have died in bombing raids. But the Allies' veil of secrecy around the invasion had so effectively convinced Hitler and his high command that the attack would come in the Pas-de-Calais, the Germans have limited resources for a counterattack. A week after the invasion, Field Marshal Sir Alan Brooke arrives in Normandy.
The scene was beyond description. Everywhere was covered with ships, of all shapes and sizes. There was a sense of continuous activity. It was a wonderful moment to find myself re-entering France, almost 4 years after being thrown out.
Gigantic floating harbours, mulberries, an idea initiated by Churchill himself, have been towed across the Channel. The mulberries become the vital supply point for up to 10,000 tons of material per day. Inland, Allied troops are adapting to their role as liberators. war photographer Robert Capa.
We received a little book telling us how to address the natives. Bonjour, monsieur. Nous sommes les amis américains. That was for addressing the men. Bonjour, mademoiselle. Voulez-vous faire une promenade avec moi? That was for the girls. The first one meant, Mister, don't shoot me. And the other could mean anything.
But not everyone welcomes the Allied presence. Sir Alan Brooke.
The French did not seem in any way pleased to see us arrive as a victorious army to liberate France. They had been quite content as they were. We were bringing war and desolation to their country.
Richard Greenwood, Royal Tank Regiment.
Saw a few natives on today's journey through villages and fields. Not much evidence of enthusiasm amongst them. Perhaps they resent our intrusion. I can well understand this. Their former, lovely countryside is now a battleground.
Over the coming weeks, the land battle intensifies. The German army repeatedly attempts fierce counterattacks. The Normandy countryside, with its patchwork of small fields and tall hedgerows, proves to be a difficult battleground. But overwhelming Allied air power is crucial in the battle. Field Marshal von Kluge replaces Rommel in July. He writes to Hitler,
"In the face of the enemy's complete command of the air, there is no possibility of our finding a strategy to counterbalance its truly annihilating effect unless we retreat. In spite of intense efforts, the moment has drawn near when this front will break."
German confidence is ebbing. Of those captured, many are young and inexperienced. Some are East Europeans forced into fighting for Hitler's cause. General Gunther Blumentritt, Chief of Staff to the Supreme Commander in the West.
Our forces are being bled white. The replacement situation is impossible. We simply don't have the men to contain the pressure anymore.
By late July, the Allies achieve a breakthrough. Saint-Lô and Caen are captured, but the victories come at a price. In the assault on Saint-Lô, more than 3,000 Americans are killed. On August the 26th, Allied troops celebrate the liberation of Paris. General Charles de Gaulle, the exiled commander of Free French forces, returns to lead the triumphant parade. Lieutenant John Osland, 4th U.S. Infantry Division.
In the street was the largest crowd I've ever seen. Thousands of people, all there to see de Gaulle and to celebrate the liberation of their city. They had waited 4 years for this day.
Elizabeth de Mirabel of the Free French.
It was beyond all we could have imagined. The atmosphere of feverish joy was overwhelming. The excitement was intoxicating. Yet death and suffering still lay at the door.
The battle for Normandy has been a long and bitter fight. Almost 500,000 Allied and German troops are dead, injured, or missing in action. Though the war is not yet over, and it will be many months before the Allies reach Berlin, the events of D-Day and the battle for Normandy are the beginning of the end for Hitler's Third Reich. From the memoirs of Ernie Pyle, killed in action by the Japanese in April 1945. His account for August 1944, Paris.
One cannot help but be moved by the colossus of our invasion. It was a bold and mighty thing, one of the epics of all history. I hope that we can rejoice in victory, but humbly. The dead men would not want us to gloat.